In this video, I'm going to show you how I generated $36,000 in 20 minutes for one of my clients using a webinar. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Gio Joachim, and I help educational creators launch and scale their info products. And in the last 5 to 6 months, we've generated over $450,000 in sales in info products. So that's why you can listen to me if you want to. And if not, no harm done. But in this video, as I said, I'm going to show you how I generated $36,000 in 20 minutes using a webinar. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's first break down the math. So we were selling a $50 product. This was for a low ticket. So actually, although yes, it says $36,000, it's probably a lot more when you consider upsells to higher ticket products. But this is for the lower ticket $50 a month product with we made 120 sales, and because it's a monthly recurring product, the average lifetime of the customer is 6 months currently, since we have around 16 to 17% churn, and that equates to around $36,000 generated. And so just a bit of backstory, this client, we've already been working with them for some time. We scaled them up from $25,000 a month to $52,000 a month. And then after this webinar, we were able to make a jump and go to $58,000 in MRR just from this webinar alone. So what I want to break down to you today is, if you are an educational creator or you have an offer of some kind, I want to break down what we used to have a successful webinar, both in because the webinar breaks down into 3 phases: pre-webinar phase, the actual webinar itself, and then the post-webinar, because you have the promotion of it, you have the webinar itself, and then you have the post-webinar. And I'm going to break down what we did so you can hopefully find it helpful too. So the reason why the webinar is so great is for 2 main reasons. Is because if you're doing a free webinar like how we run it and how we ran it here, it allows you a chance to give something valuable to your audience in exchange for their emails. And email marketing, in my experience, has been the most effective way at promoting, launching, and scaling an info product, at least for the clients that we've ran, because of the fact that you own the traffic, so you can sell to it almost as much as you want, as long as you're providing value. And again, just tapping on the owning the traffic point. With YouTube, let's say you have 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. You have to deal with the algorithm. So if your video doesn't perform well, people don't view it, or you didn't make a good thumbnail, or whatever reason, or YouTube, for whatever reason, takes down your account, you're left high and dry. Whereas if you can collect leads, have them in the email list, you can contact them as much as you want forever, as long as they don't unsubscribe. So in my opinion, it's the best way to pitch. And also you can pitch without ruining your brand integrity, because you don't want to be a sellout on YouTube, or your YouTube channel to be too salesy. You can do that on your email list. So you can give people something for free, this free live class, or this free webinar, which is what it really is. You get their email on a landing page, and then you get them booked in for this live class. Now, as I said, it's good because you now have their emails. So now, even if they don't show up to the webinar, you can still continue to sell them in the future. But also, when they do come to the webinar, you can give them value, and then at the end, you can make them a pitch, which is essentially what the webinar is. You can make them a pitch, you can make them a special offer to get them to take action, and, well, you can rack in the money. So here's what we did. The pre-webinar flow is all about promoting. It's got 3 objectives. One is coming up with the idea for the webinar, and then you promote this webinar to get people to click on the landing page. How do you do that? If you have a YouTube audience, you put the link to join the free class in the top of your bio, so everyone who watches your video is going to see top of the description, join my free class on X topic. Then they go, they click, and then they sign up. You can make YouTube community posts, which are incredibly underrated and not enough people use, to basically make like a text-based post to your audience to get people to sign up. You can advertise on Instagram DMs. You can do many chat automations on Reels. There's so many ways. Just get people to hear about the live event and get people to give you their email on a landing page. Then you want to get people to show up. Now, this is all about the email sequence that you use to get people to come. And this is, again, why email marketing is so great. And also SMS, if you have access to it. Although depending on the country that you're in, it's sometimes a bit tedious to do SMS because there's regulations around it, especially in Europe, where I'm based. But email is fair game. So you get that email and you want to get them to show up. So how do you get them to show up on the course? So now you've got them to sign up. You promote it. You have a nice landing page. I wouldn't recommend on the landing page to have a video. I would just have an image with the title, headline, with some testimonials on the bottom or some social proof, and get people to sign up. Now, once they've signed up, how do you get them to show? Well, typically what I would do is I would start promoting a webinar 4 to 5 days before the webinar itself, if you're running them relatively regularly. Or if it's a bigger thing, you can take a week and a bit. But more importantly, if you're doing email marketing to get people to show up, to your current leads and to the leads who sign up, you send an email every day leading up to the webinar where you're either going to be doing a few things. You're going to either be giving some value, some tips that you're going to talk about in the webinar. You basically want to build hype, build curiosity. You want to break some beliefs around the topic that you're going to be talking about. And you want to show some social proof. So you want to show some case studies of people who have used the thing that you're going to talk about, so the techniques or the strategies or whatever that you're going to talk about on the webinar, and you're going to basically show how other people have used it to get results, or how you have used it to get results if you don't have that. Then the anticipation will be built. You want to send an email every single day, and then in the last 24 hours before the webinar, what I would like to do is I'd like to send a 24-hour reminder, 12-hour reminder, 3-hour reminder, 1-hour reminder, and when you're live, you say, we are live, come join us at this link. And in all the emails, give them the link for the webinar. Okay, simple. You tell your audience about a live class that's going to give them more help on a specific topic and more directed help. And you tell them there's going to be a Q&A at the end where they can ask you questions. You get people to go to a very simple landing page with a picture and you collect their email. Then you remind them about the thing and build hype before it. And then on the webinar, now this is key. The webinar itself is essentially, yes, it's a live class, but it's essentially a sales presentation. You're using different psychological cues throughout the entire webinar to get them to want to buy. The first, let's say if you're doing a 45-minute webinar, the first 30 minutes is all primed to, yes, you want to give them value, but you want them to make breakthroughs that then make them primed to buy when you make the pitch. So how do you do that? Start off with a big promise. Every webinar should have a big promise. In our case, we were working with a manifestation creator, and we basically, the point of the webinar was that he was going to show them how to manifest anything and how they can do it too. But in your case, let's say you run a B2C, like make money online offer, and you want to teach people how, the title of the demo could be, how I make 50K a month from my laptop without working 12 hours a day. So you make a big promise with something that breaks a belief, so that you don't need to work 12 hours a day or whatever it is. Or the fitness example could be how I lost 50 pounds without cutting out carbs. That's a big promise, and then something that makes it likely for them to achieve, or something that makes it appealing for them to want to do it. So it makes it look easy and builds curiosity. Then that's basically the title of the webinar and the big promise at the beginning. Then you go into your story, because people buy from people. Yes, even if they've been watching your videos and they've been doing, maybe they've been familiar with you for a while. The reason we touch on the story, and more specifically, we touch on the before state, the breaking point, and the shift, which I'll talk about all these three in a second, is because of the fact that you as a creator have your story, but in that moment, you're going to want them to make a decision at the end. So you want to hit their emotional waves, if you will, to get them to take an action. And you do that by making them feel understood. So if they see that you, this creator that they hold in a big light, because they're listening to you and they're trying to learn from you, if they see that you've been in a shitty state and that you had a breaking point that they can have, and that you made a realization that is understandable for them to make, and then you make the shift and they get the result, that is all very digestible, rather than you just sitting from your high horse and saying, look how I did it, you can be like me too, because you're relating to them. So in this case, before, let's use the fitness example. You can say, I was just like you, 50 pounds overweight, I didn't know what to do. I could tell my wife wasn't attracted to me anymore. I had disappointment and I felt disgusting every time I looked at myself in the mirror. So that's the before state. And no matter what I did, I couldn't figure out how to lose weight. And then the breaking point is, like, it's an extreme example, but my wife left me and I feel depressed every day when I wake up because I can't stand the way I look. And I just can't spend another day like this. That's the breaking point. And then the shift is when you realize your unique mechanism. So whatever it is that you're coaching them on, whatever it is that you're selling them on, that's the shift that took you from where you were to where you got to the dream outcome. And that's what you want to make them realize, is that's the shift from their breaking point to where they want to go. And that's the unique mechanism, and that's what you want them to buy. So that's phase 1 of the webinar. You break down the before state, you break down the breaking point, you break down the shift. Now, stage 2 of the webinar is you want to break beliefs, because now they'll understand and they'll be bought into your unique mechanism because you just told them your story and how it worked. But now you want to break their beliefs so that they believe that they can do it too. Super, super, super important. So the way I like to break it down is I like to do what I call the 3 secrets around that topic. So you have the topic and you want to break down 3 secrets, which are really just 3 limiting beliefs or 3 objections that you're going to break down. So let's say in the fitness example, we take the 3 beliefs. Secret number 1, you don't need to give up your favorite foods to lose weight. Someone who's struggled to lose weight their whole life is going to be pretty damn compelled, because they think one of the reasons that they can't lose weight is that they haven't given up their favorite foods. And if you can tell them that no, that's not actually the case, then great, that's 1 belief broken, because you can't then have the objection of saying, oh, but I don't want to give up chocolate, I don't want to give up pasta or whatever. And the key is if you're selling a high ticket offer or a low ticket offer or whatever, or you've done sales in general, which if you're an educational creator, maybe you have, the important thing to realize is in a sales process or in a webinar, we have to mimic a similar sales process than we would do for any sales process. So we have to hit the pain, we have to do, we dig into the pain, kind of do the whole discovery process, then the pitch. But at the end, we can handle objections on a sales call. On a webinar, we can't. So we have to pre-handle objections with these belief breaking systems. So you do 3 secrets around a specific, around objections that they may have. So in the fitness example, they don't want to give up their favorite foods. They just, and then you give that example. You tell them you don't need to do it. This is what you do instead. And then you show a case study. So for every objection, you show a case study. And you show how it worked for someone else, because then people immediately confirms that it works. Then the second one, let's say it's, I don't want to do hours and hours of cardio. Then you explain why that's not the case. You explain what they do instead, and you show a case study of someone who used it. And then it's, let's say, my body just, I'm big boned or whatever. That's secret number 3. Anyone can lose weight. You show them why it's possible, or you show them why it's wrong, why their objection is wrong. You show them the opposite, and then you show them someone who did it. It's a very simple process. You are making promises and then showing the testimonial of you, the case study of you, and then that's in the big promise, and you can show other people there as well. Then you break beliefs, give them some value around those beliefs that they can take action on, and then you show them proof of that as well. And then at the end of that, you make them a very special offer. Now, the key thing with this is when you're giving them, when you're breaking their beliefs, or you're giving them a big promise, whatever it may be, you want to give them enough information to where it makes sense in their head, enough information to where they believe that they can do it too, but not so much where they feel overwhelmed and they want to implement all that before they take action with you. That's why you're not here to give them a lecture on a million things to do. You're here to break beliefs. And oftentimes, breaking beliefs is more valuable than giving them a long to-do list of things to do. Because when you break beliefs, someone can understand it. And when they understand it, even if they don't know how to do it, they know that it's possible. And they're much more likely to take action because they can make a rational decision now. So, Once you've told them your big promise, once you've told them your story, you can add testimonials after your story of other people who've done it the same way. Then you break their beliefs. And with each belief that you're breaking, 3 is that good because 3 is digestible. You give them more testimonials. So you give them a ton of proof to show that it works. Then you can sell them something and you can give them a very special offer. Now, you can give them a price drop. You can, you basically, if you haven't read $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi, I would just read that to understand how to make a good offer. But just in a nutshell, there's a few levers that you can sort of move to get someone to do something. You basically want to make it as appealing as possible. You want to make it as likely as possible that they get success. You want to reduce the risk of them taking action, so putting a guarantee or something. And then you want to add some scarcity. So you want them to feel like they have to take action now. Because if not, they'll be like, okay, thanks, I can just take action on this later. So you set up the offer. I would do a discount. I would give them some bonuses if they buy today, let's say an extra call or an extra cheat sheet or this and that. You give them a guarantee. You show them that you can try it. And if you don't like it in 7 days, we'll give you your money back. So they have no reason not to take action. And yeah, you basically make it as no-brainer as possible for them to say no. And then you put a timer on the screen, 15 minutes. You say, this offer is live for the next 15 minutes. If you want to take action, go to this link. You put it in the chat multiple times. They go to this link. And then in the meantime, while people are buying, you do 15 minutes of Q&A. So people put their questions in the chat and you can take answers and you can answer the questions. And in that meantime, when you get people buying, you call them out. So once Mark buys, you say, Mark, thank you so much for joining. Can't wait to rock with you. Stephanie, thank you for joining. Can't wait to rock with you. Susie, Sophie, Mark, Daniel, whatever. Thank you so much for taking action. And people are going to start to feel FOMO. Now, once people start to feel FOMO, you're going to increase conversion. So if at first not too much happens, just be okay. People are putting, keep calm. People are putting their details in. And then when people start coming in, call them out. Boom. So we finished the webinar now. 15 minutes are up. The offer's done. You close the offer. It's not done. You have the post-webinar flow. And the post-webinar is the 72 hours after the webinar are just as important for making sales as the hours during the webinar. Why? Because in that time, you can extend the offer or you can make another offer via email. So let's say they didn't take action. What you can now do is you can send an email to people who showed up to the webinar or people who signed up for the webinar. I would do people who signed up because a lot of people aren't going to show up. That's totally fine. You make an email for everyone who signed up to the webinar, but you just exclude people who bought your product. And then you tell them, hey, thank you so much for signing up to the webinar. If you missed it, here's the recording. Watch it. It's crazy valuable. And I can't wait to help you. And I hope you find it helpful, whatever. And then you basically tell them, if you missed the offer that we gave at the end of the webinar, whether it was because you didn't show up or because you didn't take action on the call, don't worry. I understand where you're coming from. Now, I would hate for you to miss this. Here's the, I want to extend the offer to you. Then you extend the offer to them again. So now they feel like they have another shot. You'll collect some more sales. And then you want to follow up again and again in the next 72 hours to maximize sales. Now, there's a lot that goes down in a properly executed webinar flow. So if you are an educational creator or you sell online products and you want help with the webinar, you just want it done for you, we can do that. You just go to the link below and you can book in a call with myself and my business partner where we can see if we can help you out. But if not, then you can implement this structure and you can go ahead and use it. And it's the same structure that we use to generate $36,000. And also it's the same principles that we've used to generate over $500,000 in the last 4 to 5 months on school selling info products to educational creators. So I hope this video was helpful. This is the exact sort of step-by-step of how we structured our webinar. And if you want help, as I said, book a call below. And if not, just like, subscribe, and check out the other videos on my channel. Maybe you find them useful. Speak soon. Take care. Peace.